Hello everyone, I'm here with a book review today, and the book that I'm going to be talking about is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Now, to start off with, I wanted to tell you that I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars because there was nothing that I could see worth taking a point off for. I mean, this book is brilliant. Not in the way that it's written, that it's so intellectual that normal people can't understand it, but because it's written the way it's supposed to be. It's written from a teenager's voice with a teenager's voice. And that's what makes it so wonderful, is that any layperson can understand this book. Like, it's not something that you have to go to a dictionary and look up. It's something that anybody can relate to. The story is told in dual perspectives with Theodore Finch and Violet Markey. Theodore is a teenage boy who is literally obsessed with death, and he finds himself up on the bell tower just contemplating things, contemplating life, more contemplating death is more like it. And then Violet Markey is a popular teenage girl who just recently lost her sister in a car accident, and she finds herself also up on the very same bell tower contemplating whether or not to jump. While up on the bell tower, Violet Markey meets Theodore Finch, and essentially he saves her life. He talks her off of the ledge, and later on they become paired together for a geography project that requires them to go visit places in Indiana, the state where they reside, and explore. And then they have to go back and give a report about the places that they have been and seen. As the two are working on their project, they grow closer, and eventually they start dating, and then which leads to them falling in love. This book will make you cry. I don't care if you've never cried while reading a book. I don't care if you've never cried while watching a movie. It's bound to make you feel something. And if you don't cry, you're going to feel something. It's just one of those books that it's going to stay with you for a long time, and you're going to find yourself looking back on it and thinking about how relatable that this book can be to anybody. This book will most likely make you contemplate your life and make you realize that you're going to want to go out there, you're going to want to see the world, because you don't know how long you have, and you don't know how long the people around you have left in this world. One of my favorite parts about the book is the nickname that Theodore Finch gives Violet, and it's Ultraviolet Remarkable, because in his eyes she becomes remarkable to him, and he comes up with this extravagant nickname that we all want. Now I'm going to get into the parts of the book where I can kind of maybe insert some spoilers, so if you haven't read it or you don't want to be spoiled, then feel free to exit the video here. I gotta say, I love Theodore Finch's character because I'm pretty sure he was clinically insane. Like, his counselor toyed with bipolar disorder and depression, and which we all know he obviously had some form of depression. But the fact that he could literally change the essence of himself, like he would cut his hair and wear his clothes a little differently, and suddenly he's, a different type of person. And it's so cool because, like Violet says, you never know what to expect from Theodore. He's a one-of-a-kind character because he's always changing. And it's really cool because writers, if you have two characters that you love, but you can only have one character, why not combine them? Why not make this kid have an affliction where he likes to change up his everything, his personality, his clothing? It's just simply the coolest concept that I've read in a long time. Now, if you've read this book, you know that it does not, in fact, have a happy ending. Theodore ends up committing suicide and leaving Violet Markey by herself. And it's strange to me that she would choose to end the book this way. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. By all means, it's not negative. I loved the book. I just think that it's interesting because a lot of authors are hesitant to do something so bold. Like, most contemporary novelists would find a way to, get help for Theodore in the story, and suddenly, he's healthy and he's normal. But Jennifer Niven is not afraid to show the entire community that these people don't just get better. These people who have any form of mental health problem, they don't get better. And it's amazing to me that he was so in love with Violet Markey, and then he goes and he commits suicide. And he still loved her to the moment that he did it, and she loved him. And it's interesting because in reality, it shows that love is not always enough. And it's true. Every day we see people who end marriages, and you think all the time, well, what's the purpose? If you love this person, why is your marriage ending? Well, he loved her and he still killed himself. So it's real. And that's one of the best parts about this book, is that the characters and the events are so real and actually extremely unexpected, because I didn't expect him to kill himself, because he's talked about it for several years before the book starts taking place. And then he essentially talks down a girl from suicide, only to do it later on himself. And I thought, while I was reading this book, that if something tragic was going to happen, it was definitely going to happen to Violet, because she was the one that was up on the ledge in the beginning of the book. You would think that she would be the one to commit suicide if it were going to happen. No. Jennifer Niven hit you with a surprise. I am going to bring in one piece of negative feedback that I had. It wasn't enough for me to knock it a half a star or even a quarter of a star. So, it's not that big of a deal. But throughout the book, Theodore is struggling with the asleep and the awake state of his conscience. And I don't know if I just didn't quite understand what I was reading, or if maybe it wasn't clarified all that well. But what I gathered from it is he goes into these fits where he's there, but he's not all there, where he kind of just separates his mind and body. I don't know. And he was trying to overcome the going back into the asleep. And I think the moment that he met Violet, he lost all chance of falling back into that. But I think that's what scared him into suicide, was the fact that he was worried he was going to go back into that asleep and maybe never wake up again. Now, maybe I could be off base here, and that's not at all what happened. But readers take things differently every day. So that's just my point of view on the book. And lastly, to Jennifer Niven, you make me love you, and that could be the greatest thing my heart was ever fit to do. Yes, I just quoted your book in relation to telling you now how much I love you for this book. 5 out of 5 stars. It couldn't have been any better. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my review.